How to listen to God's voice. This is the second part of this series, the art of hearing God's voice. My friend many years ago came to me, a lady. Two men were wooing her, and she was trusting God for leading. She has met 4 prophets to pray about this same issue. When she met the first priest and prayed about it to inquire from the Lord, she was told to go for, let's say, Mr. Hay. Then, in a way, she met another priest, another prophet on same issue, inquiring from the Lord, and she was told to go for Mr. B. And then she was confused, so she tried to meet yet another prophet. So at the end of the day, she has met 4 prophets. Out of these, 2 of them approved one man, 2 other prophets told her to go for the second man, and she was confused. Being confused, she came, and I told her, write their names and go back. When she went back, then I was praying. I was telling God, if I should even pray and receive anything about these 2 men, it will be like voting. I don't believe it should be different from each other. If it is God, the same Holy Spirit, the Bible calls him the same word. John chapter 1, the same word. It's supposed to be the same if it is from the Lord. So I said, God, help me speak to her directly yourself. Speak to her, Holy Spirit. Tell her your mind yourself. So about 2 weeks later, she called me and she said, can you remember the voice I heard long time ago when I was inquiring on the business I'm doing right now? She said, I heard that same voice again said to me. The voice said to me, woke me up from sleep, spoke to my ears audibly, and said, these 2 men, forget them. None of these 2 men is going to be your husband. Your husband himself is somewhere else praying that you should not miss it in marriage. So wait, when it is time, I will bring him to you. On a lighter mood, after saying that, she asked me, so what should I do now? I said, press the red button. Press the red button. What else do you want me to say? The one that sent me this priesthood I'm doing has spoken to you himself. So he's the master. So whatever he says to you, do. So now, if you want to learn how to listen to God's voice, put into action these 7 biblical instructions I want to give you now. Number 1, be intentional in spiritual listening, like she did. If you don't get me wrong, you may need to go to prophet to inquire. As I'm going to see later, I'm still going to refer you to spiritual guidance as I go further now. So I'm not saying that you don't need anybody. No, initially, at the beginning, before you get to a stature in the Lord, you may need it. But do not put your confidence in prophet or seer or pastor or anybody you are inquiring from. Number 1, be intentional in spiritual listening, like my friend later did when I instructed her. In other words, you should focus your attention on means of receiving information rather than going from priest to priest, inquiring from the Lord. When you stop doing this and focus your mind, your attention, on spiritual, means of receiving information, the Lord is going to be speaking to you. So be intentional in spiritual listening. Daniel 2:29. As for you, O king, thoughts came to your mind while in your bed, about what would come to pass after this. And he who reveals secrets has made known to you what will be. The king had thoughts about what will happen. Was like, this world, where is this world heading to? Where are we heading to? What will even happen? What will be the end of this world? That's King Nebuchadnezzar. What will happen at the end of this world, and so on. Because he was having such thoughts, then God spoke to him in a dream. So when you put it in your mind that you want to know something, God is spirit. Your spirit is going to connect your spirit with which you are thinking that issue you want to know. It's going to connect God. And for that reason, it's going to speak to you. Now, Exodus 3, verses 3 to 6. Then Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush does not burn. Moses was just leading his flock in the bush, and then he saw the bush before fire was burning, the bush was burning, fire was burning in the bush, but the bush was not consumed. So God was trying to get the attention of Moses, just the way he's trying to get our attention today. But so many things, for so many reasons, he is not getting our attention, and that is why many Christians are not hearing God's voice themselves. So what God was trying to achieve here was just to get Moses' attention, and he did. He got it. He said, I will not turn aside. It's like watching something. It's like a young child seeing something strange, and then watching. Just like we used to watch magicians while we were young. Our parents would send us on errand. We would see magicians on the road, and in Lagos, we would stay there and be watching the magic for so long. We were flogged so many times. So God was trying to get his attention. So when the Lord saw that he turned aside to look, God called to him from the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, here I am. The same principle applies to everybody if you want God to start speaking to you in Revelation. And he said, do not draw near this place. Take your sandals off your feet, for the place where you stand is holy ground. So, and then he began to speak to him. Moreover, he said, I am the God of your father. That is introduction. The God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And then blah, blah, blah. He continued speaking to him. He introduced himself to him. It actually begins at a point. If you want God to start speaking to you, it begins usually at a point. And 1 Samuel chapter 3, verses 3 to 8. While Samuel was lying down, can you see? It was not when he was jumping from place to place. It didn't happen when he was watching films, secular films, or watching comedy. Comedy all the time, watching comedy all the time. It did not happen that way. But while Samuel was lying down, when his attention could be caught, that the Lord called Samuel, and he answered, here I am. So he ran to Eli and said, here I am, for you called me. And he said, I did not call, lie down again. And he went and lay down. Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord, nor was the word of the Lord yet revealed to him. Can you see? At this point, like I said, it usually begins at a point. Yours can begin today if you learn these principles, biblical principles. And the Lord called Samuel again, the third time. I've jumped several verses. So he arose and went to Eli and said, here I am, for you did call me. So that happened the first time, second time, third time. And he said, here I am, for you did call me. Then, this third time, then Eli perceived that the Lord had called the boy. Can you see? When God called him the first time and he ran to Eli, God did not say anything. You know, for as long as the Lord keep calling you and you are running elsewhere, he would not say anything. But after the third time, Eli, that is spiritual guidance, and that takes us to the second point. Second point, begin with true spiritual guidance. Begin with true spiritual guidance. 1 Samuel 3, verse 9, where we were reading before. Therefore, Eli said to Samuel, go lie down, and it shall be, if he calls you, that you must say, speak, Lord, for your servant hears. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. Now the Lord came and stood and called as at other times, no difference. Samuel, Samuel. And Samuel answered, speak, for your servant hears. So when he did that, then the Lord began the episode. You know, he began to talk. He had so many things to talk about, and he began to talk to him. So that is how it usually happens. If you begin with spiritual guidance, sometimes the Lord begins to talk to you. He may speak to you in dreams, which you may not understand. But if you have spiritual guidance, it will be interpreted to you. If it is true spiritual guidance, doesn't mean not every pastor can do that. It can be somebody, just a church member, a fellow member who is spiritual, who is divinely endowed in these regards to do so. Number 3, keep spiritual confidences of your revelation. In other words, keep confidential revelation secrets. Keep confidential revelation secrets. You should be able to understand which of these revelations are confidential, things that you must keep, either about you or about you or somebody else. There are so many things God speaks to us which we must keep secrets. You should learn from now which of these revelations are secret, and you should keep them secrets. You know, 1 Samuel 3, verses 15 to 17. So Samuel lay down until morning and opened the doors of the house of the Lord. And Samuel was afraid to tell Eli the vision. Why? Because the vision was actually about Eli, and it was negative. God has caused Eli in that revelation. God has been angry with Eli, who was his own mentor. So he kept his secret. Then Eli called Samuel and said, Samuel, my son. He answered, here I am. And he said, what is the word that the Lord spoke to you? Please do not hide it from me. God do so to you, and more also, if you hide anything from me of all the things that the Lord said to you. So it's like laying curse. So at this point, Samuel opened his mouth and began to tell him, because it's like he was laying curse if Samuel would not say it out. So that's how much Samuel knew how to keep the secret. So you should keep secrets. Don't have a relation about your mentor. If you know your mentor is someone that curses, and you go to tell him, you know, if you know your mentor is always cursing, even maybe he's a prophet, an apostle, whoever he is, you should keep it secret. There are things you keep secret to yourself. There are things that are just meant for your own consumption, and they are revelations, they are prophecies, just for your own consumption, for your own knowledge. So know them, identify them, and keep them secret. Number 4.